Welcome back to the channel. My Kamado Joe here is less than a year old, but almost from day one I have suspected that my temperature gauge wasn't completely right. Always used a meat probe at the grill level to ensure that I had the right temperature. This would run anywhere from 30 to 40 degrees higher than what I was seeing at the lower at the grill. Now that might be normal, I'm not sure, but I'm going to calibrate this gauge right here, show you how I do that, and who knows, it might be a little bit off. There's one nut, and it's a 1/2 inch nut holding this in place. So all you'll need is a wrench, something like this. Get in there and get that nut loose. And then the probe or the shaft itself is pretty long, but I had to turn the nut about 6 or 8 times for it to come out. And there it is right there. So I'm going to set the nut and the washer aside. Then we're going to go into the stove, get some water to boiling, and we're going to check this heat gauge that way. I have put a pan of water on the stove and it's going to boil, and water boils at 212 degrees. What we're going to do is to take our heat gauge and touch it into the boiling water and see what it reads. And then on the back of the gauge is an adjustment screw that we can adjust the temperature if it's off. I'm going to be double checking this with my heat probe here just to ensure that we're at the right temperatures. Let's get the water up to boil now. Just a note here, I have read on the internet that some people will take the temperature gauge and place it in their oven, set the oven to 212 degrees and read it that way. I have no idea if Kamado Joe endorses that method, but for me, I wouldn't want to subject this glass and this entire case to temperatures like that. I'd rather do it with the boiling water method and only have the probe itself in the boiling water. If you've done it the other way by using the oven, please leave us a comment down below so we can see what your experiences were. The water's getting very close to boiling. Let's go ahead and use my probe and check the temperature. It's about 207 degrees. Let's give it another moment or two. Okay, it's boiling very well. Let's take it out for just a moment, let it reset. Go back in. 212. Now with the heat gauge, we're going in. And I can tell you, it would be best to wear some gloves because the steam coming off that water gets hot real quick. Okay, I had to put on a glove, it got so hot. And we'll see how this goes. It's still pretty hot trying to hold that thing. I do have better gloves. Okay, I'm going to try it this way, because it was just too hot to hold it. The water's still boiling good. This gauge is stopped at 200. Okay, I want to raise this up 12 degrees. And as I turn the screw, it brings it off of the peg. So this is going to be a trial and error type of thing because it's not really calibrated that good for small digits like 12, but we'll see. Much better. It looks like it's at about 210, maybe 220, so I might have gone a little bit over. me back that down just a fuzz. Put it back in the water. Well, that's holding steady at 210. And I think that is close enough for what we're doing. 210. All right, so we're all set. We'll go back outside and reinstall the temperature gauge. It's very simple to reinstall. Just make sure you get your nut and the washer both back on there and tighten them down. And you won't have to tighten it down a lot. I would say get it down to finger tight and then just touch it briefly with your wrench. You definitely do not want to over tighten this. That's it. Okay, again, it only took that 1/2-inch wrench to get this off. It's real easy to do that. Now you're asking yourself, it was only off 12 degrees. What's the big deal? Well, in the large scheme of things, it's not a big deal, but it gives me a lot of peace of mind knowing that I now know that this is much closer to being accurate than it was before. 12% doing a smoke at 220 or 225, that can mean 5% of your heat right there. So it is a good indicator to have trust in your heat gauge along with your probes. Now I feel better about it. I think I'm going to be smoking some ribs pretty soon, and I'm going to clue you in on that when I do. So stick around, subscribe, click that like button, and leave me a comment down below on how you calibrated your heat gauge. Until next time, smoke well.